Hey everyone, it's triplemangothreat, and today we're talking about the best political cards in EDH. Let's jump right into it. Dawnbreak Reclaimer for 4 white, it's a 5/5 angel with flying. At the beginning of your end step, choose a creature card in an opponent's graveyard. Then that player chooses a creature card in your graveyard. You may return those cards to the battlefield under their owner's control. So even after we choose a creature in both of our graveyards, we don't have to return those, but if we work something out with our opponent, we could get a creature from their graveyard and a creature from our graveyard onto the battlefield. This can trigger ETBs and give us tons of benefit. This is a great card to be very political with. It's going to have some alliances built together and some broken apart. This is a great card to have. Now, probably my favorite political card is Fact or Fiction for 3 and a blue. It's an instant. Reveal the top 5 cards of your library, and opponent separates those cards into 2 piles. Put one into your hand and the other into your graveyard. You can make a deal with this opponent like, hey, put all 5 cards in one pile, I'll pick that pile, 0 go into my graveyard, but you may owe them a favor later, or maybe it's what it takes to defeat another opponent. And even if they don't agree with you and they're just like, no, I'm gonna put this huge Eldrazi here, your other 4 lands over here. In all actuality, this is a great card because this is going to show us how our opponent sees our threats. Fortune's Favor for 3 and a blue is similar to Fact or Fiction. It's an instant. Target opponent looks at the top 4 cards of your library and separates them into a face-down pile and a face-up pile. Put one pile into your hand and the other into your graveyard. Now this is really tricky, because what if the good stuff is in the face-up pile and not the face-down pile? Again, this is such a fun card. I really recommend it. It's another Fact or Fiction, except it's only 4 cards this time. Out of Bounds for 3 and a blue, it's an instant and has assist, which means another player can pay up to 3 mana of this spell's cost. We can counter target spell. So if we can go in with another opponent saying, hey, this is a big threat, I need your help to cast this counter spell, they will most likely help you counter it. It helps for great interaction with other players, and it's different from any other counter spell because someone else can assist you to cast it. Perplexing Chimera for 4 and a blue. It's a 3/3 Chimera enchantment creature. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, you may exchange control of Perplexing Chimera and that spell. If you do, choose new targets for that spell. If the spell becomes a permanent, you control that permanent. This card is going to make them not want to cast their huge spells, because guess what? Now it can be our spell. This card is often seen in my playgroup because, hey, now your opponents aren't going to cast that huge win con because you could be in control of that. Zur's Weirding for 3 and a blue, it's an enchantment. Players play with their hands revealed. If a player would draw a card, he or she reveals it instead. Then any other player may pay 2 life. If a player does, put that card into its owner's graveyard. Otherwise, that player draws the card. Yeah, you know that huge Eldrazi you just drew? Yeah, I'm going to pay 2 life so you cannot draw that card and it goes into your grave. Or whatever huge threat. Scheming Symmetry, this is an awesome one. For 1 black, it's a sorcery. Choose 2 target players, so most likely yourself and another opponent. Each of them searches their library for a card, then shuffles their library and puts that card on top of it. The art is great here, and it's so true because you each have a knife at each other's throat. You could get your win cons, or you could agree to get something to help take care of someone else's threats. This is a great tutor. Rite of the Raging Storm for 3, red, it's an enchantment. Creatures named Lightning Rager can't attack you or planeswalkers you control. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player creates a 5/1 red elemental creature token named Lightning Ranger. It has trample, haste, and at the beginning of the end step, sacrifice this creature. This is going to make our opponents hit each other and not us, and for 5 damage, that's a lot, especially when it has trample and haste. They're also going to get the benefit of sacking a creature if their deck works with that, but overall, I really enjoy this card. Volcanic Offering for 4 and a red, it's an instant. Now this is a powerful card. Destroy target non-land basic you don't control and target non-land basic of an opponent's choice you don't control. Volcanic Offering deals 7 damage to target creature you don't control and 7 damage to target creature of an opponent's choice you don't control. So guess what happens when it's a 1v1? You're going to destroy 2 of your opponent's non-basic lands. You're going to deal 7 damage twice to target creature you don't control. But of course, if this is a 4-player game, it's only going to affect our 3 opponents. Veteran Explorer for 1 green, it's a 1/1 human soldier scout. When Veteran Explorer dies, each player may search the library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield, then each player who searched the library shuffles it. This is a great card because you're going to work with your opponents to be like, hey, next turn if I attack you, can you block with your 2/2? Alright, thanks. Then each player can get 2 basics on the battlefield. So already you're working with your opponent, and hopefully everyone's going to keep you the last target on their mind. Collective Voyage, for 1 green, it's a sorcery. It has join forces, starting with you. Each player may pay any amount of mana. Each player searches his or her library for up to X basic land cards, where X is the total amount of mana paid this way, puts them on the battlefield tapped, and then shuffles his or her library. I love this card because you pretty much ramp everyone exponentially. Even if everyone just paid 1 mana, that's 4 basics we're going to put on our battlefield. Tempt with Discovery, kind of the same thing, but for 3 and green, it's a sorcery. It has Tempting Offer. We can search our library for a land card, put it on the battlefield. Each opponent may search their library for a land card and put it onto the battlefield. For each opponent who searches their library this way, search your library for a land card, put it onto the battlefield, then each player who searched a library this way shuffles it. So if we get a land card and each of our opponents do, we get 4 lands of our choice, not just basics, and each opponent gets 1 land of their choice. Skullwinder, for 2 and a green, it's a 1/3 snake with Death Touch. When Skullwinder enters the battlefield, return target card from your graveyard to your hand. Then choose an opponent. That player returns a card from their graveyard to their hand. Again, we're working with our opponents again. The great thing about Skullwinder is that it's an ETB, so every time it enters the battlefield, we get this effect. So this works great with Marin, Muldrotha, anything that can get creatures from our graveyard to the battlefield. And what's really cool is it's target card. It doesn't have to be a land, a creature, an enchantment. It could be anything we're needing from our graveyard. Fractured Identity, for 3 white/blue, it's a sorcery. Exile target non-land permanent. Each player other than its controller creates a token that's a copy of it. Man, this is a powerful, powerful card. Imagine exiling someone's Howling Mine. Do you know what that does? That means if we have 4 players, we now have 3 Howling Mines on the battlefield, so everyone's drawing 4 cards at least at their draw step. If we exile someone's Planeswalker, now we have 3 Planeswalkers of the same one on the battlefield. This is an amazing card. Gazellia, Blade of Goldnight, for 4 red, white, white. It's a 5/5 angel with flying and first strike. If a source would deal damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, that source deals double that damage to that player or permanent instead. If a source would deal damage to you or a permanent you control, prevent half of that damage rounded up. Again, this is another card that's going to make our opponents hit each other and hopefully not us, and if they do, we're only taking half of that rounded up. And last we have Crown of Doom, for 3 colorless. It's an artifact. Whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn. We can pay 2 mana. Target player other than Crown of Doom's owner gains control of it. Activate this ability only during your turn. Well, guess what? This is never going to come back to us because we are the owner. Anyone can pay 2 mana, give this to another opponent, and when somebody attacks them or their planeswalkers, their creatures get +2/+0. So already we're promoting more damage, and this is going to be an awesome card to have. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the best political EDH cards. If you liked this video, be sure to leave a thumbs up, comment below what you think of this video, and subscribe for more Mango content. I'll see you all in the next one. PS4.